Welcome to No Direction, the Pathfinder News, Reviews, and Interviews podcast. I'm Ryan Costello.
And I'm Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Perrin.
This episode is special for more reasons than just that we are recording on a Saturday, which I believe is a first for us, Perrin. We usually, if we're seeing each other on a Saturday, it's because we're at Gen Con.
Right, and we're very tired.
Yeah, by Saturday, yes.
Yeah, I'm dead on by Saturday.
Nope, it's RPG Superstar 2015 special. We did this last year with the top 16. We did 2 episodes in 1 week, and it was great, but it was also a lot harder. This year we waited until round 4 when the top 8 were revealed, and we have 6 of the top 8. Nope, we have 5 of the top 8, joining us tonight. Another 2 of them we will be posting their blog interviews tomorrow, and hopefully we can get in touch with the 8th of the top 8 and find a way that we can get their answers posted either on, on the website, nodirectionpodcast.com, sometime in the next week. But here's what you need to know. We are going to be interviewing each of the top 8 for 10-minute intervals. So starting at 8:48, precisely, we're going to get our first of the top 8 contestants on there. We will be asking the same 3 questions, and then any time left in that 10 minutes, they can just kind of petition you for your votes. Round 4 is the second to last round. After this, it's the design an outline for a Pathfinder module, and then whoever wins that next round is the RPG Superstar for 2015. So every round is a very important round. This one, as important as any others, it is do or die, and your votes count. And all of these 8 superstars, or prospective superstars, really good stars we're calling them at this point, really great stars. They want your votes. And we'll tell you more about how to vote at the end of the episode. We don't want to give anyone a leg up just for having initiative in this interview encounter.
Right. And one thing also is to keep it a fair and even playing field, we will not be accepting user questions from the chat for the interviewees. Now, you feel free to ask us questions about other stuff, but we can't field questions to the interviewees because we want to make sure everybody gets the same fair shot.
So like I said, our first interview will be at 8:48, but in the meantime, Param, you and I have a little bit of chance to banter, and we've only got 10 minutes, so maybe we should focus on the most important news items for the Pathfinder role-playing game, or Pathfinder in general, that were released this week.
Right, and there were 2 big announcements this week that were great to see. The first one that came out was an announcement that the Pathfinder Tales line will now be published by Tor Publishing. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Tor, they do a lot of sci-fi and fantasy publishing. If they did the Robert Jordan Wheel of Time novels as probably one of their most famous publishing things. And the reason that this is big news is this means that the Pathfinder Tales line will be getting much wider distribution than it would otherwise have gotten. With this news also comes news that the format for the novels will be changing. We have standard novel-sized novels right now, and they announced with this they were going to be published as trade paperback-sized novels. Now those are there's 2 potential sizes for those, 5.5 by 8 or 5.5 by 6.5. I don't know which of the 2 they're going to go with because I haven't touched it yet. But basically, trade paperback is a hardcover without the hardcover on it. So that's the size to get a thing. That does mean a price increase of another $5 on top of what we've been paying. That's the bad part. They did also announce, as part of that the Paizo will still be doing the managing editor thing with Justin doing that.
James L. Sutter.
Sorry, James L. Sutter. I'm sorry for the confusing there. But James L. Sutter will be doing that still. So it doesn't seem to be too big of a shift other than the new publisher and big wider distribution.
Now, Dave Gross has clarified. Oh, actually, and with the announcement came the announcement that we've got a new Dave Gross novel to look forward to.
Yes, it's been a couple of years since the last one, so people was getting worried that there might not be another Varian Jaguar Radovan novel, but there will be. He announced Lord of Runes, which will be the first of the new books to hit the shelves. and I have the covers. We say covers.
But Param, a book only has one cover.
Yeah, and I'm sure only one of these is the real cover, but both of these covers have appeared simultaneously. The one on the left is from Paizo's site, and the one on the right I've pulled from Amazon, but I've seen it elsewhere. I think the one on the left is the official cover, but I'm not sure. Also notice that the logo is different for the one on the left, and it fits more in line with the logo redesigns that we've been seeing for the card game, for the adventure path, and so on.
So I'm going to speculate that the one on the right is the original one that was commissioned, and with the intent of it being for the regular novel size, but the Tor deal meant they needed different proportions for the art, and so they commissioned a new piece of art, because it's clearly for the exact same thing. It looks like Varian Jaeger riding a dragon. We were disagreeing about what color dragon is. It looked a little golden, possibly one of the brown metallics.
Mm-hmm. And the right is very clearly shooting lightning. On the left, I didn't know what that was. I thought, is it sucking undead souls into its mouth? Which would be a cool dragon power. Also notice Varian Jaeger is shooting lightning from his sword.
Yep. And they are fighting skeleton warriors. So it's clearly depicting the exact same scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah, so that's my guess, that it was purely a formatting issue.
Which would make sense, because why else would you commission the same piece twice?
I don't know, fun.
We don't have time for fun around here. We're in the business of making novels. Well, we're not. They are. Okay. But that's cool. I'm glad we're getting more Varian and Radovan. I'm glad that the novels are going to be continuing, because news on things were getting really quiet, so much that even me and you were talking about, have you heard anything about the novels lately? So I'm glad that this is why things got quiet. It's a much better than they silently took the novels out back and old Yallered them.
Now, I posted on our Facebook wall earlier this week Rocket Talk episode 44. It is a literary podcast, and he had James L. Sutter and Mordecai Node from Tor Publishing. He had them on the podcast to go into more details about the nature of the deal, and that is basically that it's Paizo creative. Like, Paizo is doing all the creative. They are manufacturing these books, or maybe they're not doing the manufacturing, but they're editing, they're commissioning the writers, they're the ones that are controlling the content. Tor is probably doing the manufacturing side, and they're distributing it. So, yes, it is to a wider audience, but it is still a Paizo-controlled product. They're not farming it out.
Okay, so it's just a business deal.
It is.
Like the other partnerships where things are happening differently.
Now, Dave Gross did clarify that the books will be the same number of words, which, now, every Pathfinder Tales novel has been a slight variation on the number of pages.
Right.
But this larger format, this physically larger format, does not actually mean larger word count. We'll still be getting the same books. It'll just be in a new format. And so some people have, and I believe rightfully, objected to the price increase, because it is a 50% increase for the exact same content. As a Pathfinder Tales fan, you could ask, what's in it for me? And unfortunately, the only answer is not much. It's great for Paizo. It's great for Pathfinder. Pathfinder's getting much wider distribution. But the reality is, the people that have enjoyed Pathfinder Tales up to this point, there's not a lot to celebrate personally.
Right. I mean, there's arguments to be made about the format change as an advantage, because that is the normal price for that format of a book, because it's a physically larger product. That means more paper involved in the manufacturing, but at the same time, you're not getting more words. I prefer these style of books, and I buy all my Forgotten Realms in this style when they're available, because my hands cramp less than the smaller novels. But ultimately, I want hardcovers, and I've always wanted hardcovers. So hopefully that happens eventually.
I think this is definitely the first step towards getting hardcovers.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Param. I know you're a completist. You've got the bug. Are you going to want them to go back and re-release the novels we've already had in the new format?
Not all of them. The truth is with any of these fantasy series, some novels stand out more than others, and I would like them to release re-release the series that continue. So I would like all the variant books to continue. I also want the pirate books because those are some of my favorite books.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Pirates, what are they? Pirates Honor and Pirates Promise.
Yeah, I just got my review copy of Pirates Promise in the mail yesterday or earlier this week, and so I'll be reviewing that in an upcoming episode.
I have not got my review copy of that one yet, but the and I also want Liar's Blade just because it's my favorite of the novels, and like the Varian's Jaguar series is my favorite series, but and I love them, and I'm desperately addicted to read. I'm glad there's more. I was a little worried after 2 years, but if one single book on its own, it's Liar's Blade.
All right, Param, we are expecting our first contestant, Ben Iglauer. He'll be joining us in 4 minutes. I know we've got one more news item. Do you think we've got time to cover that?
Very quickly, and if we get interrupted, we can follow up. But to get it out there. The other thing was also a partnership being announced, and that was that Drive-Thru Cards is going to be partnering with Pathfinder in order to produce fan-created cards for the Pathfinder Adventure card game, as well as official card print-on-demands.
So that's pretty awesome.
It is. Sounds kind of awesome. Now, how this works is if you are a fan, you can get on here and create your own card by using the Create My Own Card button. Now, I haven't got to do this myself because I just started trying to do it 10 minutes before the podcast and didn't want me to log in, and I said no. I got a podcast to do. But I have looked, and they have a bunch of cards already created. And those community cards you can browse through, find the ones you want, and they will print them for you and mail them to you. And the price seems to be 50 cents each for the one-off cards. And the other product that's available on here is the errata sets. Like any game, errata happens. Any game, especially any game they intend to keep a organized play program around. Now, normally you would have just, if like it was Magic the Gathering, for instance, you kept the errata sheet with you when you showed up for a tournament, and that's what you did. Here, you can actually order the errata sets. So all the cards that got changed, they will mail them to you if you pay for them. It's $22.99 for the Rise of the Rune Lords base box, an additional $10 for all the errata cards from its expansions. And I haven't checked on what Skull and Shackles is like yet, but those are also available through this program. And I find that to be a convenience thing if you've got the spare cash. Of course, ideally, you kind of hate that errata happened to any game. But unfortunately, they can't live update the cardboard in your box.
Yeah, I would rather be inconvenienced but have a game that works better.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, you can just print the errata out yourself. What I've seen done with Magic the Gathering is they put a little, like, write it on a sticky note, but not with the sticky part, and then put that in with the sleeve with the card with the correct text on it.
Okay.
So that's an option. Like, this got errata to this. Now, that doesn't happen all that often because cardboard is expensive. Yeah. But yeah, that's a thing. It exists.
Cool. Now, here's my question. If I'm making my own card, do I get a library of images to choose from? Do I have to upload my own?
I don't know the answer to that, but I will note that almost all the cards that I've seen used Paizo artwork.
Okay.
Like there was Lim and the Winter Witch and stuff, and they were all using Paizo artwork. So I don't know if that's part of the program or not, and I kind of actually am embarrassed for not thinking to look that up. Some of the cards definitely were using original artwork. because you could tell the discrepancy in styles. There was a black dragon, for instance, that was obviously done with not Paizo.
Okay.
That's a nice way to say that.
But what I like about this is that if I wanted to, like, for non-Pathfinder Society play, if I wanted to add Valter, my Carrion Crown character, into the game as a playable guy, have the Ripsaw Glaive as an item that you can get, and if he had a familiar, add the familiar, any other signature weapons or spells that he had, add all that stuff to the game, I can. And that's cool, and that's pretty much, like, as it is, we're playing as our people added to the Pathfinder universe. So now we get to do it in the card game in a similar way that we do for the RPG.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about making your own cards for yourself like that for the players. But yeah, that's probably the best immediate option. I kept thinking of, man, I can make all kinds of monsters that aren't in the game yet. Because they have bunyips already that came in with Skull and Shackles. But I like bunyips. And what if I wanted dire bunyips? Or what I intend to do is add the Bridge as a villain in Rise of the Rune Lords. It's already an encounter area, but I want it to be a monster because it killed my party members. Or didn't, but it was the most difficult encounter they did. So I'm going to make it like a high CR monster for the card game. The Bridge.
So just to put this out there, Ben, if you are listening, your time slot has begun. So click on the link in the email that we sent you, the second link, the one that you were told not to share with people. You'll join us. We'll get right into our first interview as soon as you arrive.
Yeah. Come on, Ben!
Meantime, Param.
Yes,
your games have been canceled, right, because of the weather?
Yeah, man, we got hit epic by the snowstorm, man. We're talking like literal 2 feet of snow and ice. And, like, I was stuck in my house for 9 straight days. That was not fun. And, yeah, because of that, gaming is not happening. Did not happen. Could not happen. And that's unfortunate. But, yeah. How about you? Did you get gaming in? Did the epic snowstorm eat Canada?
Well, Montreal gets very different weather from the rest of Canada, keep in mind, because I have no idea. We just always do. You always hear about, like, oh, they're getting this terrible weather in New York, Boston, the prairies, or not the prairies, the Maritimes. Like, you can just kind of plot a map around Quebec.
Well, that just means that the snow wasn't a francophone.
All right. There was no neige. So yes, we've gotten snow, but we haven't gotten snowstorms. We haven't had any snow days, and we've barely lost any power. So yeah, no, gaming has been on as per usual.
Okay.
We've gotten into the first dungeon crawl of the Skinsaw Murders, Skinsaw Massacre, whatever the second book is called. Something about skin and saws.
But, you know, those two things go together oh so well. So, how did it go?
It went fairly well. It was... Okay, so there's a lot of haunts.
Yes.
And most of them are only triggered if...
Okay, hold up.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Some
vagueness. Yeah.
A lot of the times, though, you walk into a room and it's pretty obvious there's nothing in the room except for something strange. And the haunt only triggers if you investigate it, and there's rarely any straightforward reward for investigating it. So I was fully expecting my players to just wander around and skip everything, but no, they decided to investigate every weird thing, and I'll get to the story later. Hello, Ben!
Yes.
Hi!
Welcome to the show, Ben, and congratulations for making it to the top 8 of RPG Superstar 2015!
Woo!
Yes.
Like your enthusiasm, Ben. So you are just a couple of minutes late, so we'll get right into it, and then we can chat a little bit after if we get through all 3 questions at in your time slot. Is that cool?
Hello? That's cool. We hear not a Ben.
Yes.
Ben hears not us.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, and you can hear us?
I can hear you.
All right,
Excellent.
cool. So then, Ben, why don't we get started with, how did you approach each round and its unique challenges?
Well, so my thing was I would try to think of the coolest idea I could think of. And if it was cool enough, I would run with it. If it wasn't, I would keep thinking. So, and so for like the first couple challenges, it took me a while to think of the Ocular Rictus. The Ocular Rictus is a weird monster. The first few monsters I thought of was like a devouring darkness, kind of Lovecraftian darkness swarm that kind of like ate you and turned you into like shadows. And I was like, yeah, it's just a blob of darkness, right? And then I had like, the Thunder Worm, which was like a big worm that caused earthquakes. They had too high level, right? Earthquakes are kind of badass, right? So I ended up with the Ocular Rictus, and so I was like, that works. That's far north. It's like kind of like old school Beholder. It's really weird. It's cool. I'll go with it. And so then the last challenge was hard because I kept thinking of ideas that really weren't cool enough.
Oh,
be careful.
Sorry, yeah, we should point out that.
Yeah, we need to warn out.
Go for it, Pam.
Because the contestant rules bars explanation of the final round, we can only announce what your final round is. We can't go into any detail because we don't want to disqualify you guys for being on the show.
Right. Don't want to do that. So anyway,
so 1 through 3 is what we can comment on.
Yeah.
All right, 1 through 3. I will not comment on the last one, but it took me a while to think of a really cool idea. I was like, all the ideas I thought of were like pretty cool. There was like, if I was DMing, I would totally go with it. But I was like, I'm competing against some really good designers. I gotta think of something cool. So it took me too long to think of it, I think. But there it is. So that's how I was like, I would filter out the ideas until I got something good, and things I like, things I would like to play in, things I'd like to DM.
Now, you're really good with names on your submissions. The Full Scepter was that was a nice obvious one, and the Ocular Rictus. I'm glad you told me how to pronounce that, because I had not figured that out. But I do like the Cthulhu-y angle to it. But my favorite name of what you've done so far has definitely been the Haunted Dinosaur Graveyard of Mendigati Island.
Well, that was just selling something they already had. There is a dinosaur graveyard on Mendigalti Island, and so I looked at the challenge. The challenge was find a location on Golarion and draw a map, and I was like, I'm going to find the coolest location on Golarion I can and draw a map of it. And I noticed on Mengalti Island there was a dinosaur graveyard. I was like, I could sell that.
Mm-hmm.
And you add a Petrodon nest and you're there, man, right? Add a couple of Tyrannosaurus skeletons, some Triceratops skeletons. You can imagine these things coming to life, them reenacting their duels, right? They're a like undead duel between the classic Tyrannosaurus versus Triceratops duel reenacted amongst the shards of the dead. Mm-hmm. It's cool. It works.
You seem to be a very visual person.
I'm somewhat visual. I'm kind of wordy too. I don't know if I'm visual or wordy. I can't tell.
All right. We are getting a little tight on time for your slot, so let's move on to question number 2. What sets you apart as a designer?
I think, so it's hard to tell in this immediate amount of time compared to the other designers. I don't know if I'm like have this and they don't have it. But I'll say that some of the things I bring to the table as a designer, or I've been playing D&D since like the basic set, the white box. I have like this old school sensibility that's been evolved for 30 years, and I take like this old school D&D kind of vibe, and I bring to that with some new weird stuff. I'm really into like the new weird speculative fictions being written, like China Miéville and Jeff Vandermeer and the likes of those people. So I bring that kind of sensibility to the old school, and I try to push the edge. I really want to add more role-playing elements into like D&D and Pathfinder. I think that you can create situations that just make fun role-playing scenarios. Like the ocular rictus possessing your eyes. You're not, screwed. You're not going to be constantly controlled by an ocular rictus, but everything you experience, some chaotic evil aberration is also experiencing. That's a good role-playing scenario. So I'd like to add that kind of stuff to the game.
As you were saying, chaotic evil aberration, your cat in the background, which I didn't know was a cat at first, just started puffing up. So there was just this darkness forming around.
that is.
She is a wizard.
She is a dangerous cat too. That is Sylvia, and she can lash out at any moment. She seems seductive and cuddly, and then she will attack.
All right, we got to wrap this up quickly, Ben. So the last question is, what does Pathfinder mean to you?
Demons and love.
Oh.
No, so I don't know what I don't really know what that question means, but I know why I love Pathfinder. The content is just awesome. They have Lovecraftian monsters. They have a adventure path module that is in an alternate universe, early 20th century Russia with an evil Rasputin, right? The whole Iron Gods adventure path is awesome. They really have this pulp sensibility to everything, and so the content is why I love it. The reason I play it is because my core gaming group was a bunch of 3.5 people that don't want to move too far from the system, so I have to play what they want to play. But I love Pathfinder because of the content.
Excellent. All right, well, thanks a lot, Ben. We're out of time, but you can remind people what the name of your round 4 entry is, and just remind them to vote for you.
It's the entrance to the Crystal Labyrinth. Vote for it because I have a really great idea for the next round. So if I somehow make it to the next round, I have a really cool module proposal, and it's going to be awesome. It's like an Akira Kurosawa inspired module.
Careful.
Excellent. All right, thanks a lot, Ben. So good luck in the contest, and hopefully I'll see you around.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Wow,
those 10 minutes flew by. I guess it was.
Yeah, that was. Minutes. Yeah, he kind of lost it, but we kind of lost 2 minutes. But yeah, that was quick. Brian, get in here if you can hear us. It's time to join us.
Yeah, contestant number 2, come on down.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, if you're listening to us live, Brian, we sent you an email with a link to join the Google Hangout that we are currently in. Please click on it now. So in the meantime, Param, yeah, so I was saying that it's I didn't get why anyone would actually interact with the haunts, but they did, which means that what could have just been people carefully walking through this entire dungeon, no, they were hitting all of the interesting things that were happening, and they were being rewarded. There are story rewards. There's just story rewards aren't tangible, so sometimes your PCs aren't rewarded enough by just being
there's XP
backstory. There is XP.
Yeah,
we've been pretty ad hoc with the XP, so they're pretty much going to gain the level where it recommends that they gain the level.
Yeah. Now
a message on Facebook from Brian Frusen. He did not get the email with the link. Oh, all right. Sorry, Brian. Let me get that to you right now.
Aha. Now, what I was when it was us running through this about I guess I've said this on the show back when that happened, but this was the module that sort of sold me on haunts and kind of getting what they were going for, because at first I just couldn't wrap my head around what the haunt rules were meant for, and so seeing them in action here kind of helped. And since then I've used haunts a lot because I like that sort of idea. But yeah, you got to be careful that they don't just go a whole lot of nope and run through the thing with their eyes closed.
Well, that's pretty much what we did in the Carrion Crown. One of the Carrion Crown adventures has a lot of haunts. And we just never really felt motivated to do anything about it, so we just walked around them, and anytime we couldn't walk around them, we dealt with them and then moved on. And we never really explored how to ultimately get rid of them because we weren't planning on coming back this way.
This is somebody else's problem. We have a Brian!
Hello!
Hello, Brian. Welcome back.
It's good to be back. I think I prophesized this.
How so?
Oh, last year when I was on, I said that if I didn't make it last year, I'd be back.
Yes, and you're back.
And now I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So we will remind you of the rules that you are not allowed to talk about your current round submission.
Oh, I'm well aware. I live in fear of those rules. So they have grilled them into us again and again and again. So.
All right. Well, otherwise, we've still got about 8 minutes that we can go through these 3 questions, and then we can just kind of banter afterwards if we've still got time.
Very well.
How did you approach each round and its unique challenges?
Well, the first round, I was actually very pleasantly surprised to see that they changed the rules of the first round. I'm the kind of person that, especially when I know that there's going to be twists of any kind, I will just put a little legwork into reminding myself of like how to make a magic item, but I won't put much effort into actually going further than that until I know what it is I'm going to be doing. With the first round, the magic item, I decided I want to make something that will let players do something that they couldn't do before, that they don't often get a chance to do. Play with lava seems like a great option, right? It's always showing up in scenarios to be bull rushed into and whatnot. So why can't we create that again? Now, some of the comments did point out that lava is very powerful, so I certainly can agree with that. But it's something you can have fun with. So,
there are powerful magic items.
Indeed.
And it was a pricey one at 28 grand.
Mm-hmm. I didn't want
the most
people to
expensive one.
Right. I didn't want to make it too easy to get or have people playing with it too early. So, but the second round, the Salvation's End, my map, the ruined. I wasn't aiming so much for tower as I was a shell keep, something very stout that could resist the winds of the hurricanes in the Eye of a Bendigo. I approached that by trying to think, well, what might this place have actually been built like? I'm not an architect, so I did the best I could, and I figured that the people who might have been building this might not have been well versed with the conditions there either. So it ended up being what it was, and it mostly fell apart eventually. So, but I wanted people. I wanted to create a map in which I didn't want to create the story. I didn't want to tell the adventure for the GM. The task was to create a map, and so my goal was to create something that could be inserted anywhere. There are lots of points on this map that adventure could be occurring, could indicate things that happened in the past, things that might be happening now, but it would be up to the GM to decide what exactly those things were. So.
And this is a combination of it's hand-drawn, and then I guess you scanned it in and added type over it?
Yes. I'm not a digital artist by any means, so I mostly did each layer on a separate grid sheet, and then I tried to copy and paste them together so that it didn't look entirely terrible.
No, I would compliment you, actually.
Yeah.
If this showed up in a third-party product, this is clear. I could follow it. It looks like it's not Paizo professional, because, wow, that stuff's professional, but it's definitely high enough quality that I could run with this.
If I got this map in 1982, I would have been ecstatic.
Yeah, one of my friends is a big fan of earlier editions, and he was like, that seems just like what you would see in the olden days, so that's good enough for me.
Any thoughts on the Geomaw?
Yes, the Geomaw. I GM a lot of Pathfinder Society. I'm a venture lieutenant in the Greater Milwaukee area, and I hate when my players get away. So I wanted to create something that would create some pants-soiling terror in the first round or two, and then give them a chance to sort of regroup and recuperate, realize, oh, this isn't that terrible. So I intentionally front-loaded the damage and the its ability to snatch and grab, and then toned it back a little bit so that somebody who gets trapped won't die immediately, and their friends might have a chance to save them if they aren't all looking at the pretty colors.
Of all the encounter rounds that I've read, this was the one that was like, my character should probably be cursing out a venture captain for this.
They didn't tell us these would be here. Nobody knew.
Next question. What sets you apart as a designer?
Well, I've been told that I'm very cinematic in the way that I approach my GMing, and I definitely try to bring that into the things that I write. I want people to feel like there is a world that they are being immersed in, something that gives them an opportunity to realize that there's more going on here, that there are things happening around them, that their adventure is not necessarily the first adventure to have taken place here, and it probably won't be the last. Hopefully, their corpses won't be the one decorating the walls for the next group. But yeah, that's what I try to aim for, to create a sense of wonderment and realism for the players.
And finally, with 1 minute left to go, what does Pathfinder mean to you?
Pathfinder to me is a means to be a part of stories, to see the things that you normally can only watch on TV or read in a book. It's your chance to be a part of that, and be a part of that with your friends. There's just no other experience like it.
Awesome. All right, so Brian, we've got less than a minute left, so no time to banter, but you can remind people what your round 4 entry is, and yeah.
My round 4 entry is the Gloomsworn Path.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you so much for joining.
Good luck.
Thank you for having me.
If not this year, are you going to be back next year?
I'm not allowed to next year, so.
Oh, top 8 to cut off? I thought it was top 4.
No, it is top 8. Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well, congratulations. 2 years in a row. That's pretty impressive on its own.
I am very pleased. Yeah.
All right. Well, you take care. Monica, you are up. You've got 2 minutes to join us for your whole 10-minute segment. Oh, wow.
And there she is. Wow. She is on the ball.
How you doing, Monica?
Pretty good. I'm trying to bring everything up.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Well, you've got 2 minutes to get prepped, so you just let us know when you're ready to go.
I'm ready when you guys are ready. I was just watching it and laughing at Brian.
All right, then, Monica, why don't you tell us how you approached each round and its unique challenges?
Well, since I have never done any GMing before or any design before, everything you guys see is actually my very first attempt at everything that I've ever done in the game world designing at all.
Wow.
So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I had to learn all the rules. I've never seen a monster block before. I've never read an encounter before. My map was the first map I've ever drawn before. I've always been a player. So for me, it's been very challenging because all of the rules, I had to read 4 bestiaries. That did not happen. So for me, it was trying to find what made sense to me and what I felt like as a player I wanted to see, and then figuring out how the rules fit around what I envisioned. So when they changed it, actually, I swore I would never actually enter RPG Superstar. And then Owen convinced Paizo to change it to weapons, and I was sitting at the house, and I said to Andrew, oh my God, I have this weapon, and I have to make it. And he's like, you told me you'd never enter. I said, well, I lied. So, and I swore I never would. I seriously, to this day, cannot believe that I have gotten this far based on, a weapon that was something that I, as the cleric player in our game, just always felt like I needed and never got. So that's where it started. I was like, I really hate ghosts, and I hate watching my friends sit around the table as the person who's channeling and doing all the damage, and they're like, playing Red Dragon Inn. It's like, how is that fun? Zombie dice are going on while, me and the DM are playing. That's not what the game's about to me. It's about you get your party together, you get your people together, and you play together. And that was what that weapon meant for me. So that's what I bring to it, a whole new mindset.
What about Firebrand's readout?
Well, that actually started out as I wanted to build a Taj Mahal.
Oh.
And so I looked at the Taj Mahal, and it is incredibly boring, architecturally speaking. So I was like, well, and I wanted an amphitheater. I'm a theater geek. I wanted an amphitheater in this house. It needed to be somewhere that the person who lived there lived. It was a place where that was a center of society, and then it became the Dwarven Downton Abbey. So, of course, I knew someone was going to ask about the toilets, but I had to draw the limit somewhere.
It would not be the first dungeon to mysteriously not have toilets.
There were cabinets. I mean, where did you think the people went in? So anyway, but and then for the monster, actually, again, my very first monster, I went through and I looked for the kinds of things that I would find terrifying. The monster started out as something different, but I made my first monster concept general enough that I could sculpt it and craft it into a place that it made sense. And the reviews of it say that I did a good job. I know as a player I would pee my pants if this monster kept jumping after me.
Freaking creepy.
It would have been a lot more exciting with Swallow Hole, but I didn't think a giant in the creeping through the caves was a good idea. So that's why it got smaller, as rather it would originally start out as a giant. So like that's not scary enough. Something coming at you and eating you whole.
No, it's scarier smaller, honestly, because giants you can hide in small places. This thing comes after you in those small places.
Yeah, and it can squeeze through those small places, and it doesn't lose its speed. So yeah, you're welcome.
What sets you apart as a designer?
Everything has to make sense to me. I can't just sit down and say, oh, well, I read this monster over here, and I saw this over there, and I'm just going to smash them together. And I have none of that. So the good news is that I don't know where the walls of the box are. I don't design inside the box because it's all dark in here, and I don't know. I'm walking around looking for the edges, and so I come up with ideas, and then I find the rules to fit those ideas rather than making my ideas fit the rules. So things become more organic, and they have to make sense to me. And if they can make sense to me, I assure you probably a 12-year-old could run, or 8-year-old could run anything I design because it has to make sense to me. So that's kind of... Go ahead, sorry.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm certain.
Right. I was moving on to what does Pathfinder mean to you?
It's the place I go to meet with my friends. We game here every Sunday night. Sometimes more often we've started a new game. We've gotten our kids, they're finally old enough to read and write and roll dice and count. And so we've gamed with them. So Pathfinder is the place I go where I go to be with the people that mean the most to me. And then I get to go to Gen Con and other stuff too, and so I get to see more and more of the people that I like. So Pathfinder's just kind of my second home.
Well, you're the first person to answer all three questions in a succinct amount of time. So if you want to chat, what's on your mind?
Well, actually, I did that deliberately because I have a list of people I'd like to thank. Because this is one of those things I never expected I would ever be an RPG superstar. I certainly never thought that I'd be sitting in the top 8, possibly looking at the top 4. So I got my list. I know, I was prepared. So the first 2 people I'd like to thank are actually people I don't even know, and they've passed away. But without Madeline Langle and Anne McCaffrey, I wouldn't be here today. They are the 2 authors who shaped my opinion as a woman as a young girl and as a woman, and seeing women in role playing and in the game design is really important to me, and actually when I get lower in the list you'll see even more. I would love to thank the authors and members of the gaming community, Jen Loopy Smith, LJ Stevens, Shauna Germain, Meredith Gerber, Christina Stiles, Rachel Ventura, and Nicole Lindrus, and all of the ladies at Obi-Wan Girls. They have all supported me throughout my gaming career. They have in various ways been role models, mentors, friends, people that I look to when I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to cry. What would that person do? And sometimes it's scream and then move on. Would love to thank the ladies at the Paizo forums who instigated me entering the contest. Deathquaker, Lady Firedove, Liz Courts, Jessica Price, Judy Bauer, Crystal Frazier. Without the conversations we've had, I wouldn't have entered. You can't have more women in game design if more women don't enter and try and work and get supported. But you have to be good at what you're trying to do so that people will support you at what you're trying to do. So excellence in the background helps bring the excellence forward. Deathquaker, I can't tell you how many hours she and I have spent reading, writing, talking, stuff like that. She's been a great help to me. I know I'm getting close on time. My pit crew, Victoria, Jacob Michaels, before Andrew Marlowe, I was paid to say that, Jacob Trier, Scott Janke, Anthony Adams, Garrick Williams, and especially my best friends in gaming, Andrew Marlowe, Andrew Black, and Matt Kesters. They've been my group. Matt moved away, but he's been very helpful. The other top 8ers, you guys have been great. I've had a lot of support even from the top 32. Most importantly, I would love to thank my children who are watching it. They got to stay up late to see me. They got to stay up late last year to see Andrew. And the third-party publishers in Paizo, without you guys, we wouldn't even be here. So you guys have been great. And I guess I get to do my plug now, right? Have I gone over?
No, you've still got 2 minutes.
Wow. My current offering is the Hanging Gardens of Corexon, and if it is of any, sway whatsoever, if I get to win RPG Superstar, I get to rub it in my husband's face, Andrew. We've been very friendly about it around here, but if I won, it could get fun.
Remind, how far did Andrew get last year?
He's been in the top 16 twice. Last year they didn't have a top 8, so a lot of the people that were in the top 16 last year did not get the benefit of eliminating themselves and feeling like they really achieved something. I feel really kind of sorry for them because a lot of them I know feel like they were deprived that second round, and it is what it is. I'm really sad it happened. I know that a lot of them have gone on to do other things, and they're still doing RPG Superstar. But, it is hard because I'd like to have been able to see them, be recognized for being better than top 8 or better than top 16 and being kind of left in that limbo. But now I can say I hit top 8 and they didn't. Ha ha ha.
Oh, that's me.
I was going to comment on how diplomatic the last couple of minutes were, that you could have just been talking about how great you are, but no, you chose to thank everyone. Oh, but by the way, I'm better than you all.
No, I'm not. Honestly, it's been very hard. It's been very hard because I look at the guys that are helping me out. Jacob and Victoria. So many of them that they've been very gracious. Anthony Adams has been fantastic. I probably wouldn't have even entered this contest if I hadn't met him and talked to him and had him say, I really think you have what it takes. You should enter. And I feel my heart breaks for them because they have so much to offer. And RPG Superstar is just one way in. It's just one door that we can step through. But it is the one door that everybody's watching. And it's not at all tense or nerve-wracking, and I haven't slept in 3 days or anything like that. So it feels kind of like I have to do as well as I'm doing because I don't want to let them down, because I don't want them to feel like they backed the wrong horse. But I thank them so much and deeply from my heart that without them I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So.
All right, I am going to give Scott LeBerge his shout or his call because he's on deck. He should be joining us any minute now. But before you go, Monica, it says on the chalkboard behind you, Monica scored blank hits in one combat, and I can't actually see how many hits you scored. I'm just curious.
That is from February 22nd. It's an anniversary week. I'm glad you. It is from February 22nd,
Anniversary.
2009. That my dice don't like me. That I actually scored 3 crits in the same night.
Congratulations.
and that hasn't happened again since 2009. So my friends, they felt like that needed to be immortalized, and 6 years later, happy anniversary. Oh, it looks like he's up. So.
All right, take care,
All
Monica.
right,
Good
thanks,
luck.
guys.
All right, Clara University, Santa Clara University. Hello.
We can't hear you.
Okay,
Aha.
Oh. Heard you for a second, then you muted yourself.
Can you hear me yet?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'm
No
trying
video?
to get the video up too.
Oh, okay.
No problem. You've got a minute before your time starts, so you're not even losing time over this. Anything we can do to help?
I'm trying here.
Okay.
I just got a new webcam today. I'm trying to get it to work.
Okay. Is it plugged in?
Yep, it's plugged
Okay.
in.
I got
a light on.
All right.
Okay. This is promising. The Santa Clara logo is gone.
Is it?
Yeah, which
Yeah,
probably means it's transition. Oh, no, it's back.
Gosh.
Oh, well.
I mean, we can conduct it audio only. We do
Yeah,
release
I'm
this
trying
as a
to get the camera
podcast.
to work. I'm just not sure how.
Okay.
Not my
well,
specialty, you understand.
no problem. So it's your choice now. We can start the interview, or you can fiddle with the camera some more.
Let's just go ahead and go for it, and I'll just apologize for not being visible.
All right, no problem. I'm picturing what you might look like, you handsome devil.
Yeah, okay.
All right, why don't you tell us how you approached each round and its unique challenges?
Okay, so we started with the. Sorry, hang on. I'm getting some feedback from the YouTube, so let me get rid of that. Okay,
yeah.
So there we go. So with the first round, that was my keyhole stiletto, and that really actually started as a wondrous item. I know that's horrifying for some people, and that really bugs them. But that's what it originally was going to be, was like a glass cutter that could cut through walls of force. And then when we got the switch and it turned out to be a weapons and armor and other things round, then I actually found myself thinking, this actually might even work better as a weapon than it did as a wondrous item. So I started trying to figure out what it would be made of, and at that point, adamantine and ghost touch seemed like a really natural combination. And once I had all those pieces together, it was pretty obvious how that was going to work then. So it just kind of came together in a really nice synergy.
All right. What about the however you pronounce your map?
the cliff dwelling.
Yes, that's
Right.
the words I wasn't having trouble with.
Well, with a cliff dwelling, I mean, what I really wanted just starting out was something vertical, because I often feel like there aren't enough sort of vertical play spaces in games in general, but specifically in Pathfinder. So I wanted something like that. So, for instance, Paizo, if you're listening, give us a vertical flip mat, please. I'd love a cliff face for a flip mat. So I started with wanting something vertical like a cliff. And then I thought, well, a cliff dwelling might be nice, and that made me think, of course, of the Anasazi cliff dwellings in Arizona. So I took that as my inspiration and started working from there. And what I really wanted to produce was a place, a sort of settlement which could be used as a base if you wanted, and could perhaps have some sort of role-playing opportunities built in. So I tried to sort of hint at some possible ways that might develop in the places on the map. And I also wanted it to be potentially an interesting place to have combats. So I tried to have some elements there that would work well for that as well. So that was my thinking there, and hopefully it worked out well.
Bring this to your monster. The Coryphée?
Yeah, the Coryphée. The Coryphée, yeah, it actually started out as it's still a dancing monster, but it wasn't originally intended for Narvoth. So it was supposed to be called originally what I called the Terpsichorean. But then when we got the Narvoth switch, at first I thought I was just going to have to ditch the monster, but then I started looking through the Darklands guidebook and saw the stuff about the Court of Ether, and I thought, actually, this could work pretty well for that. So made it a little darker, made it a little more sinister. The original monster wasn't evil at all and didn't want to hurt people. It just wanted people to dance with it. But, you know, made it a little darker and more sinister, and went from there. So what I really wanted to do with that monster, you know, so many combats in Pathfinder and other games are really slogs to see who can hold on to their hit points the longest. And I wanted a kind of monster that wasn't just about taking away your hit points, that it was a different kind of danger. And ideally, I wanted it to have a sort of cinematic character to it. And so that's what I was looking for there. And so its enchanting dance ability was all about giving it a way of threatening that wasn't just about hurting you directly. Plus, I hope it's got a kind of cinematic aspect to it. You can imagine characters getting swept up in this dance and carried around whatever space they're traveling through. I thought that might be a nice touch as well.
Now, what sets you apart as a designer?
Yeah, that's a hard question.
We ask the hard questions.
Yeah, I expect so. Yeah, I take it that if there's something that sets me apart, it's partly just the sort of thing I was talking about with the Coryphée. I'm not just interested in throwing the traditional challenges at players. I want to try to find places in the design space where one can challenge players in new and interesting ways that maybe they haven't encountered before, that aren't just about, you know, hitting things with your axe. It's trying to challenge them to use a wider array of their abilities, and maybe to have to think a little bit more about how they're going to approach the challenge, and not just come at it head on. I find that when I'm a player, I really enjoy those kinds of challenges, and I think it enriches the game when you can draw on a wider range of obstacles that are going to challenge the players in different ways. And the other thing is that you know, I'm a classics professor, among other things, and so I've got a pretty deep grounding in a pretty wide array of history there, and so I've got lots of ideas drawn out of all sorts of real-world historical settings, which I think could make for fun encounters and adventures, and I'd like to think that that gives me a certain degree of creativity. So.
All right, and finally, what does Pathfinder mean to you?
Well, I mean, there's the game itself, which I really love. I mean, when Wizards of the Coast came out with 4th edition, I really didn't want to abandon 3.5. I've always liked the rule set, and I also am a really busy guy, and I don't have tons of time to master one rule set after another. So I was really happy that the folks at Paizo decided to stick with the 3.5 rule set and tweak it. And I having been an avid reader of their old Dungeon and Dragon magazine issues, I was really excited that Paizo was sticking around. So I love them for that. I love that they made the 3.5 rule system even stronger than it used to be. And so it's been great to have that option still. But beyond that, Pathfinder has been great in terms of the kind of relationships it's allowed me to build. I'm a college professor, and it was because of my students that I got back into gaming in the first place. I was out of the gaming world for a long time. and then some students asked me to DM for them, and at first I told them no, but then I ran across a really great deal on a box of 3.5 stuff, and I thought it was sort of like, here's God telling me I ought to be playing games again. So I got back into it, and with a group of 9 students, I ran a campaign for them. It was the old Shackled City campaign. We played that for about 2.5 years until they all graduated. So it became a way for me to get to know this group of students in a way that I normally don't get to know my students, which was just awesome. And I still know those kids. We still play together. We play on Roll20 sometimes. They still come over. I'm running a Kingmaker campaign for them now, the ones that are still in the area. So it's been great in enabling these relationships that otherwise wouldn't have grown in the same kind of way. Plus, like Monica, I've got young kids, and they're old enough to game with me now. And I'm using Pathfinder as a way of modeling for them healthy ways of playing with their friends that's creative and social and challenging. And I'm really grateful to Paizo and Pathfinder for giving me those tools to help educate my kids. I love it for that.
Excellent. And pretty much on time. You've got maybe 30 seconds. So let me first just call out Chris Wasco. You can join us anytime now. And Scott, if you had something is there anything you can say in 30 seconds?
Yeah, sure. I'd really like to thank my family for tolerating me and how distracted I've been for the past few weeks. I want to thank those same students that have been a big part of my gaming life. I want to thank Jacob Michaels and Michael Sabag for being the people who have given me the most helpful feedback on the rounds of competition. And I want to thank my friendly local gaming store, Game Castle, out in Santa Clara, which is just a great place for finding all the stuff I need for gaming.
Now,
Excellent.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Barb.
As a college professor, I have to ask, what
Yeah,
format do you find more difficult to write in, MLA or Paizo Standard?
Let's just say I have a lot more practice with MLA. Is that fair?
Okay, that's fair.
All right.
All right, Chris, remind people what your round 4 entry is.
Oh, sure. Round 4 is Barca's Haven. And if you want to vote for me, I'd be ever so pleased. Thanks so much.
Thank
Excellent.
you.
Good luck.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, take care, Scott. And that leaves us with Chris Wasco, who I know was he joined us earlier just to prep or to check out his technical stuff. So, Chris, I know you're out there.
Yes, join us, Chris. It is time. Rise to the occasion. This is much easier when it's not all 16.
Yes, but last year I gave us 5-minute buffers between each, and I remember it feeling a little stretched out. So this year I only gave us 2, and it feels like we're kind of piling one on top of the other. So,
But it's keeping
know
it
what the
good
magic
clip. Yeah.
So while we wait for Chris, I can tell people that Kalervo, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but Kalervo and Rep, who's actually Deathquaker that Monica mentioned earlier, they've both given us their blog answers, or their answers in a blog format. We'll be posting that tomorrow. So check out, before you vote in round 4, check out their answers as well. We never did get hear back from Gabriel Almer, so unfortunately, until we do, we won't be able to post his answers. But yeah, before you vote, remember to check out the blog interviews that we are posting tomorrow.
Yep. But do vote. Do vote.
We will also thank Jenny and Owen for helping orchestrate this circus. There's any given time that we're scheduling an interview, there's a lot of factors that go into it, and Jenny Bendel is always a huge help and just a wonderful person. But these RPG Superstar episodes in particular take a lot more manipulating, and we're asking a lot of people that have their time has been tight in the last couple of months, and we're asking them that on top of it, on a day that they're not designing, to also sit down and take time away from their family and lives. So thanks to the top 8 that are joining us and participating. Thanks to Jenny for helping orchestrate this, and thanks to Owen just for, I don't know, you're awesome, Owen.
Yes, you're awesome.
So, Chris,
well, we like to think that it gives them an advantage to be here pitching stuff.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, but they are still taking their time out to participate in this, and I think that it's important to point out that that RPG Superstar in general is a time sink. It takes a lot of time to make sure you get that you get into every round. Oh, I've gotten emails from Chris. So what am I missing? I can go earlier if you need. Chris says, when did you send me that email, Chris? Google Hangout won't let me in. Param, any ideas?
There should be no reason that Google Hangout won't let him in, especially since he was just...
Yeah, he was in earlier.
Oh, he lagged and we had to boot him.
Oh, and what? Is he like banned from the Hangout?
He should not be banned. I'm going to send him... if he can have him email you... hold on a second. Okay. I'm going to try to manually invite him.
Oh, okay, you want me to message you?
So what is his Google?
Okay, so you want him to email me?
Him to message you his Google, or I'm going to try to get it without it, but yeah, his Google.
No, he just Facebook. Google Hangout won't let me in. Okay, so Chris, if you can hear me, it says you're not allowed to join the Hangout. All right. Sorry,
I sent him an invitation, a direct invitation. Let's hope that pulls him in.
You found him?
Yes. Chris, try to join us with that invitation.
Facebook has not told me that he has seen the message yet.
Okay. If he's logged into Google Plus, he should be able to see that message.
Monica has posted not 2, not 5, but 3. 3 is the magic number. Monica?
Yes, very good.
Chris has seen the message. He has yet to reply to me.
But on the subject of the guests, thank you all for coming here. But we are also helping them prepare for what life will be like should they become big, successful RPG guys, because then they would also be coming here at inconvenient times.
Chris wants to know where it is. It's in his Gmail?
If he's logged into Google Plus, he should have gotten the invitation, but do check Gmail. It's probably a message in his Google Plus queue. I will send it again, because I can send it more than once.
He says he's logged in. He hasn't seen it. Yeah, I remember direct invitations
are
not always great. So,
I don't know what to do.
Okay, so it says he's not allowed to join the Hangout. Is there anywhere in the settings where, because you booted him earlier, there's no, like, booted list?
Oh, not that I see. I don't see any of that here. No. I don't know what to do. I have an idea, guys, that you might not like.
Okay, what is it?
We shut this one down,
yeah,
and we launch a new one.
Well, Chris is our last one, so the link that we sent out, we don't have to worry about anyone else needing a new link.
Right.
So, yeah, if everyone will just watch our Facebook page, we'll post a new link to where you can watch us, and we will conclude this episode in just a moment.
Yeah, and if you go to our YouTube page, it should appear there above this one if you refresh our YouTube page in just a minute, and I will make a new one. It'll be 102 Part 2.